Uh, can we end homelessness? And if so, how?
Yeah, so I do believe that we can end homelessness, but in order to do so, I strongly believe there are certain factors that have to be considered, which haven't necessarily been considered or haven't been really taken very seriously. I would say, and so, for example, across Canada, there has been some really great work that has been done in terms of different strategies and policies. So, poverty reduction strategy, ending homelessness, housing strategies. But I would say that many of these strategies and policies that we have in place, they do not prioritize certain populations that experience higher rates of homelessness. And I think that is a very sort of key factor if we are to end homelessness, that there are, certain populations that have to be prioritized. So, for example, LGBTQ2S individuals, particularly youth. This is a population that, as we've discussed today, really does, experience are overrepresented among young people experiencing homelessness across Canada, and so many of their needs are going to be quite different actually than cisgender and heterosexual youth, and as well as sort of when we talk about early intervention or prevention, these are it's going to look different, right? It's going to look different for different populations of people, and I think that that's it right there, is that it's not going to be a one size fits all approach, because that doesn't work, because one size does not fit all. And I think that up until even still today, oftentimes that one size fits all approach continues to be implemented, as we've discussed in healthcare, in housing. And that's not going to work. We're not going to end homelessness unless we really start to prioritize the needs of different populations of people. And I would say also that we also really have to ensure that there is sort of these, population-based programming is available across the country, and it's not enough to just open up one service in one province and think that that's going to be enough for everybody, because it certainly isn't. And so I think that there does need to be a lot more focus on these sort of population-based services, and as well as education and training, because that obviously is still not happening. But I will say that I do believe that we have come a long way, and I think that we're doing a lot better. We're definitely getting closer to that goal, and particularly in the area that I'm working in. And when I think back to when I first started doing this work, nearly 15 years ago, the conversations were very different back then. If I would try to have a conversation with a key decision maker and bring up these issues, I think that the response was really quite different. I think that today there is much more of an openness and willingness to begin to address and focus on some of these problems. One more thing that I would like to say in terms of ending homelessness is that having the focus be on prevention and early intervention, because as we've discussed, it can be very difficult to help people successfully exit homelessness once they have experienced homelessness. But if we can prevent young people, for example, from experiencing homelessness in the first place, I think that we will be much better off in terms of actually ending homelessness. And so I do think that it is very important to emphasize the early intervention and to create programs that could actually really support youth and support their families so that they don't experience homelessness in the first place.